So we are understanding ignorance to wisdom, purity of the mind, hammering the delusion. I started with hammering the delusion. So we should understand clearly that level of how the delusion takes over our life. You wake up in the morning and anxious and upset and stressed. Delusion has taken over you. So, what teacher I have been talking, the teacher only facilitates. So, knowledge is unfolded. What that knowledge is unfolded means that you are not receiving a knowledge from outside. But in the beginning, you are receiving the knowledge from outside so that you align, you discover the same knowledge that is inside you. Don't you have a state of dispassion? Don't you know it? Yes, you know it. I explain you, and then you realize, yes, this is the state of dispassion. You are carried away by the strong likes and dislikes. Then what happens? Then delusion takes over. But that delusion do not take over in all the matters. In some of the areas we have a dispassion, in other areas we have a delusion, still in other areas we have likes and dislikes. Don't you have that knowledge? Yes, you all have knowledge. The problem to understand, the problem is since our birth until we are exposed to the Eastern wisdom, we have only idea that this is me and mine. So the Eastern wisdom through the teacher comes and he says, no, this me and mine is your false eye, and here is a real eye. You have to drop the false eye. You have to enter into the. So it's a more teacher facilitates. But why you say that teacher only facilitates? By teaching the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom, do you still remember? And do you contemplate on this principle again and again? What is that principle? So, just for sake of understanding, consider that I am your teacher. Then who is my teacher? I have my teacher, my teacher's teacher, and continue until the last point. What is the last point? Do you remember? The last point, the knowledge is already within us. Why knowledge is within us? Because that real self is of the nature of knowledge. Every day, if you contemplate, that knowledge has to be revealed from within. Every day you become a seeker. That does not happen in physics, chemistry, mathematics, and accounting and economics. You have to receive that knowledge from outside. So that is why we say that the teacher only facilitates this knowledge. Facilitates this knowledge. So once you have understood this, now remember the four categories. The samsara is suffering. So because of the ignorance, my mind has created a world of its own based on likes and dislikes, emotional dependence, based on relations, delusion, ego, intellectual paralysis. Don't leave me. What will happen to me if you leave me? Nothing is going to happen. You have created your own world of suffering. Nothing has happened to any of you. but a feeling that what will happen to me. So if you say that, no, no, I will be in stress, really? So you are in stress for a few hours, then you go into a deep sleep, then what happened to you? In deep sleep, you don't remember. This is the samsara I have to maintain my awareness. Maybe I was 12 years old when my mother died. She had to leave it. There is no chance. Dad left. Older brother left. So when the older brother left, long back in 89, oh no, 92 and 93, the old ladies came to my house and they said that now you are the oldest in the family, means that you are in a line. You are next. You are next. That is how the samsara, the world, takes hold of us through our thoughts and ideas and the wrong notions. This is the part of the delusion. So if you do not contemplate and reflect daily in the beginning, for a couple of weeks and the months, once you check that you wake up in the morning, you have no anxiety, you have no duality, you have no conflict. The life is going to be beautiful. But how it will happen? You have to take the remedial steps, and that is what the satsang is. So teacher, knowledge, and the seeker, they combine together is known as the satsang. So you see the principle, if you literally translate satsang, I told you that satsang means the company of the truth. Company of the truth. The seeker also has to maintain its awareness whether the teacher is talking about the truth or not. Then you are a spiritual seeker. You should be ready to challenge. You should be ready to ask the question. So normally people feel I have a lot of respect for the teacher, that is why I don't ask the question. Then you are not a seeker. Well, you should be asking the right question. My friends, never forget these 4 areas. First, anytime, anywhere, in any location, in any relationship, you have to check all those 7 factors, how the mind creates the world of its own, and that becomes the cause of the suffering. Then you have to act. Satsang means those 5 or 6 remedial steps. I have to check what are the false notion and false assumption in my relationship with you, in my relationship with my son, my money, yeah, my prestige. So then the third step is realization. I have to check whether I enter into a new level of experience or not. What is that new level of experience? Is calmness and the peace is maintained. It is coming from within. Mind is not seeking calmness and peace and the joy from outside. It is not seeking. Not seeking means no expectation. No expectation means you are not a consumer. You are a contributor. Contributor of what? Because you are already in peace. You are already in peace, so you are going to think, speak, and act out of the peace. The first sign of being a spiritual person. And as we continue the journey, We need to remember the 4R: remind, recognize, remember. Now the master, equanimity by treading the path, is the next word. I gave the title, equanimity. So I have to recheck whether I'm able to maintain the state of equanimity. Equanimity, a mind remains before the action, during the action, and after the action. Before thinking, after thinking, during the talk, and after. Equanimity. So the master explains this equanimity in a very interesting way. He says, Shatru mitre putre bandhau ma kuru yatnam vigraha sandhau. Where it says, make no effort to be either at war or in league with enemy, friend, son, or relative. You feel the sense of independence when you wake up in the morning. It is a state of effortlessness. So the master says, if you are able to live into that state of equanimity in relations, in trying times, you have money, you have no money, you have physical illnesses, or you are physically healthy, you are with your friend or relative, the mind remains in that state of equipoise and equanimity. We'll understand in detail. So what happens? That real self reveals. Why the real self reveals? Because the mind is able to maintain the equanimity towards everything of the world. Previously, it was maintaining the 7 factors of the world. Now remember, compare it. So as long as the mind is engaged in the first 7 factors, then the world I have created is suffering. Now the mind is able to maintain that state of equanimity. So it means the mind achieves the state of equanimity when we have an awakening. What we feel? You go to the people who can read your mind, and then you say that he is a great spiritual guy. It's not a big deal. I can give you certain mantras, you do it, practices for 6 months, you can start reading the mind of others. You will be more frustrated. Why you'll be more frustrated? You will read the mind of your dear friend who has been thinking so bad about you. Who is thinking bad about you. So what will happen to you? It has nothing to do with being a spiritual person. And then you will say sorry 100 times to another guy whom your mind painted a picture that he is a great enemy and who has been thinking very good about you. So don't get misguided by those things. The first thing is state of equanimity. That state leads to a higher meditative state. Higher meditative state means that I live at the higher state of the consciousness. What does it mean by the higher state? Higher state means in active lifestyle, you think, speak, and act and live into that higher state. It is not disturbed at all. You perceive. It is something like you perceive the water, not the waves. Waves are there. Oh, there are a lot of people are here, but you perceive the real self because now you know your real self. So you have a perception. That is what the third eye is. Pay attention again. One is the physical perception. Through my physical eyes, if I want to see we all are one, not possible. Can you make it possible? So lower level of perception is through my sense organ, through my physical elements. It's a physical perception. Now the mind lives in the state of equanimity, it lives into the state of dispassion. So you have a mental perception in the state of equanimity. And that is your lively experience. So that experience, you can say, yes, it is a spiritual experience. So through that perception, you see all the waves are water. I can again tell you that you cannot see all the waves are nothing but the water through your physical eyes. So there is an inner perception. And that is why we talk of the spirituality is going inside. So there is an insight. There is an insight. Bhaj. So Shatru Mitre, let us go a little deeper into this verse. So meaning of this verse simply means that you make no effort to be either at war. It means either in stress or in league with the enemy or friend. So you don't see that, your inner perception. Oh, no one is my enemy, no one is my friend, no one is my son and relative. Why? Because you have a state of equanimity. One should not, what it means, one should not get excessively attached or repelled by the worldly relations. You maintain the equanimity. Last year I was in one's home. She claims that she is my student, but she has a rationalized mind. She is always ready to challenge. She does not have a reasoning mind. The rationalized mind causes a lot of problems. What is that rationalized mind? It does not see the cause and effect relationship. So she started talking about that. You taught me one day that you have to go beyond the likes and dislikes. I said yes. And then intentionally I said, I like coffee. Can you prepare a coffee for me? Oh, you see, I caught you. You are teaching us that you have to go beyond the likes and dislikes, and you like coffee. So for myself, I proved that she is using a rationalized mind. So it's better to understand it. So it means it becomes very impossible to live every day. You like a particular dress and you cannot say it. So is the awakening a suppression? That is why we have to listen in that. If like and dislike becomes an attachment, aversion, obsession, we have to get rid of it. Otherwise, you like coffee and resources are available. Have it. You don't have that coffee, even if you like it, you are not obsessed with it. Let me have a tea. You are casual. You maintain that state of equanimity. Did you understand? So I explained to her, but she was not ready to understand. Rationalize mind. Look at those small. It means the moment you have a strong likes and dislikes, it results into an attachment and detachment. It results into an emotional dependence. It results into building a strong ego. So any like and dislike should not be excessive, should not result into an obsession, should not build an ego, should not create the world as such. Did you get it? Otherwise, it is very difficult. Huh? Your honey is in front of you, and you say, no, no, it's better not to say I like or dislike. You will have a lot of problems. So behind the like and dislike, there is a state of equanimity. This is what the master is saying. If you want to attain that state of awakening, be equal-minded towards all things. So what happens is, seeker knows the origin of likes and dislikes, and do not allow them to grow into a binding desire. Binding desire. Don't you like this car? I said, that's why I'm with you. So you must have it. I said, that must is not in my dictionary. So simple to say. But it becomes very compelling for you not to say this. Do you see that? Likes and dislikes. And we get upset. Equanimity, a state of equanimity, liberates one from the misery causing attachment and aversion. Now I think I made everything clear. My master used to say that you should be ready to sacrifice your attachment and detachment. But here the word sacrifice should not be included as a suppression. By understanding that because of strong likes and dislikes, it is going to cause me the emotional dependence. Go back to the 7 factors. Oh, it is causing me the emotional dependence, intellectual paralysis. My intellect is blind. All the salesman makes your intellect blind. They ask you to make a compelling decision. There is no compelling decision with regard to anything in the world. Do you have that state of mind? You are free. Are you getting it? You are free. With reference to anyone. Whether it's a shirt or a pant or a car or a house. Or your wife may or husband may be making a compelling decision. Don't you love me? Outside say, I love you, honey. But check your attachment and detachment. Are you understanding or not? That is the journey of the spirituality. So look back again, just in a different way. What is the context? The worldly relations. Worldly relations means any relations I have with the world outside is temporary. I have to start with that. That is the context in our life. Whether it has to be the car or the honey or person or son or anyone. But if I get immersed in them, immersed in what is temporary, I am already declared that the world is suffering to me. Think, you are free here and now. What is the principle? Principle is equanimity. How the equanimity will come? Satsang, with the 5 and 6 steps, self-inquiry. Satsang, or you can say the self-inquiry. Who helps you in the self-inquiry? The teacher through the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom. What is the concept? Now I'm just giving you purely in a scientific way. So once we have context, we have a principle of equanimity, and so what should be the concept? Concept means that I should elaborate the principle. Why I need an equanimity? Overcoming the ego-created illusion. That is the concept. Look at our teachers are so clear. I'm not very clear about many concepts, so I constantly contemplate and reflect until I become clear of it. And the more I contemplate, I feel that I live into the higher level of awareness. This is what the satsang. So you can have a satsang on with yourself. That is why I say that you have to listen and learn and practice. What is the benefit? Peace, wisdom, spiritual progress. You start recognizing that there is something, some consciousness which is independent of the body, the mind, the attachment, likes and dislikes. Oh, is that state of equanimity? Yes. From where it comes? From the real self. Now think of the cause and effect. Let us today go in a very purely scientific way. Well, normally sometimes people say me, sir, science says this. Cause and effect. Attachments leads to misery. Aversion leads to anger. Equanimity leads to peace of mind. Cause and effect. Do you have doubt? Still I have a doubt. So it means my intellect has not reached to a state of conviction to give me a perception. Perception through the discernment and dispassion. That is why I remain as a seeker. I have to continue. No, but what I have to continue? What I have to continue? So when I say the world is suffering, with those 7 points, I have to constantly allow my intellect to contemplate and reflect the temporary nature of the world outside of which I am related in a variety of ways. With some objects I have a clinging, with some objects I have a strong like, with some objects I have some aversion. I have 2 kids, one kid I love, other kid I hate. I have to get rid of, not the 2 kids, but I have to get rid of these attachment involved. Are you getting it? Normally we make a wrong decision. We make a wrong decision. So with that state of equanimity, you awaken to the presence which you will realize it is separate from your mind, separate from the likes and dislikes, separate from your ego, separate from the body. First time you have a taste of that spiritual consciousness. You can say it's a walking the tight rope of the worldly relations along the spiritual path. So that is why we need to consistently learn, listen, reflect, practice. So in that tight rope of worldly relations, I have to strike where lies the equanimity. And the moment you pick up the equanimity internally, you have touched the spiritual consciousness. You see the way beautiful way this master explains everything. The entire text means hammer the delusion. And after some time, I changed the heading. I said ignorance to wisdom. You can still keep hammer the delusion or ignorance to wisdom. But see the message behind when you have hammered the delusion, what is left? Left is the awakening. When the delusion is gone, what is left? That cannot be undone. What cannot be undone is the real self, is the spiritual consciousness. Close your eyes, please. Eyes are closed. Place aware of the surrounding. You see, you can play with the ego. Ego says, yes, I'm aware of the surrounding just outside the body. So that ego already claimed that I am the body. And the ego for all the practical matters, our mind in ignorance for all the practical matters, declare this, yes, I'm aware of the space outside the body, and that is what you are referring me to. You see, I have to get rid of it. So I'm slowly taking you and I'm making a very minute changes in the practice. So you play with, okay, now I can understand my mind and delusion. You say, until the boundary of the body, here I am, and outside the body, the world is. And if I'm not the body, then that we know it intellectually, then where is the world? You see, the mind results into confusion again. And that we need to remove it. We will not only do it by practice. So anyhow, so look into the body, position of the body, and then the posture. Check that you are settled. You are settled. You are settled. Because if you are settled, the body will also be settled. If you are settled, then the body also should be comfortable and the mind should be carefree. And that is the journey of a higher seeker. We have been following it. So, couple of times during the day, think and contemplate on this. When I say the world outside, so what is the boundary line? Where I can separate myself from the world. Not the boundary of the body. The body comes from the world outside. Carbs and protein and plants, and if you eat plant or animal, whatever you eat, it comes from outside and it is nourished, but it nourishes the body. So body is a part of the world. Where is the boundary line? I'm leaving there. We'll go in deeper into it. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. May there be happiness for all. Now, can you draw a line for happiness between you and me, between you and the world, between one person and the other? Do you see the essence and the intrinsic knowledge hidden in this mantra? I told you, my friends, I have to contemplate and reflect and continue the journey. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. May there be peace for all. Can you draw a line for the peace in your life, in the lives of others? If you cannot draw a line of here is the peace and here is not the peace in your life, then also you can draw the line of peace in others also. What it means? So our master takes us to a very loftier thinking. When you want peace, don't ask me when I want peace, all the time. Where? No, in all locations. With whom? With everyone. So is the peace all pervading? Yes. If the peace is all pervading, that it is also present in every being. And that is one of the attributes of the real self. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. May there be completeness in all. My mind should reflect, reach to a point of awareness to perceive a sense of completeness in me first. And the moment you see the sense of completeness in you, the division, duality stops, drops. And that takes little time. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. May there be auspiciousness for all. So I have told you, I think last year, with this mantra, when the mind is immersed in happiness, in peace, in completeness, just imagine what is left. Every moment is auspicious, is full of blessing. That is why the first three factors are explained before entering into auspiciousness. Auspiciousness is present all the time. I enter into auspiciousness. Don't say that I create an auspicious moment. That is only for a beginner, non-seeker. And my friends, in that state, look inside the forehead in the space. First point of awareness, say Om Shanti there. Stillness is the third point of awareness, and start breathing, quick and short breath through both the nostrils. Continue breathing, continue breathing. Quick and short breath. You are still doing Om Shanti. You are maintaining the status quo of the body, means stillness in the body is still there, and continue to be aware of the space and that is going to take you deeper. We'll continue with the breathing practices until I will change the previous steps to enter instantly, naturally deeper. Check, is the body moving or are you keeping the body still? It demands a level of endurance. No movement of the body. I'm addressing one and pointing you to all who is moving the body. Sometimes we are not at all aware we are moving the body and we continue the practice. Sometimes we are not aware whether we are doing Om Shanti or not. So make yourself fully aware you're doing it. And stop it, pay attention to the flow of the breath. Experience the changes, acknowledge and accept it. And if there is a less flow from one nostril, pay attention there. Otherwise, continue to pay attention on both the flow of the breath. Now looking deep inside the forehead again, you see awareness of the space, dropping Om Shanti there. You are aware of the stillness in the body and you start breathing into the belly. Check again, my friend. One of our friend is moving the body. No movement in the body. I can bet you sometime we are so much in delusion. I'm not addressing the name, but I'm just pointing out. Sometime our level of delusion is so high, I say, don't move the body, and the guy is moving his head. Yes. Please. That happens also in advanced journey. Now you see we need a teacher. Continue belly breathing. Pay attention. Again movement. No movement, please. Only movement of the belly. The belly, you inhale, the belly expands. You exhale, the belly contracts. continue. And stop this breathing. Bring your awareness again on the flow of the breath. Check that you are able to maintain your stillness in the body. You acknowledge and accept the changes. Today we have a lighter note on these three types of the breathing so that you should not forget. The third breathing is very important. Third type of the breathing. So, in the third type of the breathing, we have to remain extraordinarily aware and alert. Why? Because during inhalation, you have to first inhale into the belly and continue inhaling into the rib cage up to the throat. And while exhaling, you exhale first from the belly and then the throat. So it's a very long breathing. That is normally said yogic breathing when you do it silently. But we have to do it little faster. So look inside the forehead again in this space, dropping Om Shanti and start breathing first into the belly, continue inhaling into the rib cage, one breath, breathing out from the belly and the rib. It should not be deep, silent, slow, but it should be with some noise. So it means there is a speed into it. Long, deep, hissing breaths. So here the mind objects and we endure it. Mind resists, we endure it. Let us see. Time has come to make you aware that when we do the third kind of the breathing, the mind makes the body to react. The body starts moving and jumping. You should not do that. That is the meaning of endurance. And I can bet you that some people listening and still not listening because they lack that awareness. An alertness of what they are doing. So you have to maintain the stillness in the body that will act as an enduring factor in the body through the mind, and you are doing a long, deep, and the hissing breath. We'll pay more attention now to the third type of breathing. Long, deep, and hissing breathing. Om Shanti continues, stillness in the body continues. Continue deep, long, hissing breath. And now stop it. Pay attention to the flow of the breath. Pay attention to the flow of the breath. You find the flow is equal, wonderful. You find the flow is unequal, doesn't matter because you are already into the process, into the practice. So you need not to worry about it. It will happen on its own. You cannot do it by will. It happens when the mind changes inside. And now is the time to take your mind into the cave of your heart, triangle. Visualize the triangle. Om Shanti, you know it. And when you see this thing, then push the mind singing Om deep inside the cave of your heart. Shanti, by saying Shanti, equanimity, self-absorption takes place. So what happens then? You be there with the self-absorption. Well, if your mind returns distracted, you can go back to the same triangle casually and naturally and gently. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences. How are you, Stephen?
Good, sir. Thank you very much. I'm in absolute peace, calm, quiet, completely absorbed into the meditation. The flow of the breath was even from the moment it started, straight to right now. So, thank you.
Beautiful. That is really good. How are you, David and Jerry?
Very good. It was a very, very good experience. The start of the meditation, you talked about this line of where consciousness stops, and I immediately thought there's not a line, there's a space. And so I just focused on this space between consciousness and everything else, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And by the end, when we're in the deep heart center, it was just blank, bright lights.
Beautiful.
So it was one.
Yeah, it's also kind of totally self-absorption. So this week you think of where is the boundary line between where you end so the world starts. You cannot find it. But we live in delusion. My house created a boundary. My body created a boundary. My ego created a boundary. I'm more beautiful than you. I've created a boundary. I can give you millions of examples. No, I'm not as smart as you. Still, I have created a boundary. How are you, Jerry?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, that's exactly where the mind went. Is that the consciousness? There isn't a boundary. It's everywhere, and it's kind of like. Well, I thought it was interesting when you talked about the two children, because they are so different. Different, like we are in our likes and our preferences, and obviously we have them, but in consciousness, which we all are, we don't see that, and we don't care about that.
Yeah.
We don't care about the different likes and preferences in each other, because we know that none of that matters.
None of that matters.
And so the love is the same.
Yeah, love
Even
has to be the same.
totally different likes and preferences.
And if it is not same, then it is guided, dictated by the likes and dislikes and preferences and the biased opinion. And their mind is caught, and we create our own world. And then we suffer. Make it sure that we are responsible for our suffering and none else. Beautiful Jerry, how are you, Brandy?
Good morning. I'm good, thank you. Same as everybody else who shared out so far. Thanks for sharing. Just vast consciousness and the realization that the self-absorption is not sometimes the self we think, the body and the ego and the mind, that the real self, the bigger picture. Yeah.
So understand, just imagine, even I would say imagine the state of equanimity is maintained since you wake up in the morning until you retire. You know what is going to happen? You don't see, oh, where is this ego? I cannot find it. It's an antidote. So this is what the master is pointing out in this verse. How are you, Dennis?
Thank you. I was contemplating over the equanimity while you were explaining it, and here's how I explain it to myself. The mind will like and dislike. It is natural for the mind. It is mind's nature.
Yeah.
We recognize this fact. We express these likes and dislikes in the world, but we don't allow it to disturb the mind. We don't create the dependency on it. We don't allow the mind to depend on it.
Yes.
And how we do it? We do it by constantly remembering that if the mind follows likes and dislikes, it will not lead the mind to happiness.
I love it. I love it, Dennis. And what I love is the first phrase, how I should teach my mind. So use that phrase, oh, mind, let me teach you. Don't get upset. So when you are teaching the mind, it means you are making the mind objective, not subjective. I can bet you, even you start thinking, the mind, let me teach you. It will make a tremendous difference. Beautiful. How are you, Christina?
Thank you. During the practice, I experienced just that vast spatial awareness, and something about the word aversion really sparked something more for me in terms of the boundaries, and really helpful to see the attachment I have to some aversions, particularly with my children.
Yeah. Yeah, attachment and aversion. If we have more than one child, then there is always an attachment and aversion. So you just work in your mind. Don't start working on your kids. That will be more problematic. We start working on our kids. Why don't you listen to me? How are you, Barbara?
Very good, thank you. In the beginning of the meditation, I just kept contemplating equanimity.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that if you live in a state of equanimity, don't you have a big responsibility to the people that you interact with because you have an advantage over them?
Yes. You not only you have an advantage because you recognize your own attachment and your own likes and dislikes. And before you speak and act, you get rid of it. Yes, you own a greater responsibility. You know what is that greater responsibility? Buddha said it is compassion. This is what Buddha says. I will link, what you already have read and understood. Yes, you have a greater responsibility, so you move with a moving with a compassion doesn't mean one is coming with a big stick and wants to hit you, and you say, "Please don't hit me. I'm a man of compassion." We will talk about that. So, how are you, Samir?
Today something was going on in my mind, some issue was there, but meditation overpowered all the thoughts,
Good.
feeling, and I was in peace after the meditation, sir.
Very good.
Some issue that was means after every half an hour, 1 hour was coming in my mind, something was there. But
Yeah.
when I started doing meditation, then it completely dissolved, and now I am thinking more positively.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So he is narrating there might have been some events where the thoughts are being repeated. So any time in your life, any day, when there is a repetitive thinking or when the thoughts are being repeated in your head or in your mind about some event or relations, make sure it has started the journey of likes and dislikes, attachment and detachment, emotional dependence, ego, intellectual balance. Become more alert. Check it, contemplate and reflect, and get rid of it. So, yes, what he did is very good. Thank you. How are you, Ashok sir? Where are you?
सर हम थोड़ी देर तबीयत ठीक नहीं थी
हाँ
इसलिए मैं अटेंड नहीं कर पाया था
हाँ
but today I am feeling better.
Today you are feeling better, yeah.
Okay, it's okay, sir.
Yeah. When you are not क्या
थोड़ी ब्रीथलेसनेस है और सांस में क्योंकि पिछले दिनों फीवर था मेरे को तो अभी थोड़ा सांस में थोड़ा सा है इशू हो जाएगा.
So he was not feeling good. That's why he could not attend a couple of these sessions. And I always tell, if you don't feel good, you must attend the session. No choice is yours. I will not say anything. Because you are not feeling better. And the session will make you feel better.
ठीक बात है सर.
He is saying that this is also right.
This is only right.
So,
you are only right, sir.
So, how are you? I will tell you my story, but I will first disconnect, stop the recording, then I'll tell you something. How are you, Sangeeta?
सर जो लाइक्स और डिसलाइक्स हैं सर बहुत सटल लेवल पे होती है.
हाँ
बहुत आते हैं, तो अवेयरनेस भी आ जाती है फिर साथ में कि यहाँ पर अलर्ट होना है.
Yes, that too is good. What she is saying that these likes and dislikes in the mind lives at a very subtler level. Sometimes the mind cannot notice it. But by the consistent and the regular practice will help us to live into that state of awareness. So let us say Namaste. I will stop the recording, then I'll tell you one interesting fact, Ashok. Not to everyone. So